Bucky's Slide Guitar Music comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5. Evil FB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, all that good stuff going on out there in the World Wide Web. In case you didn't know what that www stood for. Does anybody ever use computers? I think 98.7% of the people are on their phone. Gavin Newsom, we're going to review his latest scam of $1 billion out of your pocket into his and his cronies' bank accounts on the latest as they make the vagrancy problem worse. The Roy plan is working. It's gaining steam. Steve and Chad, more people are coming on board, and the statistics and the models and the polls are starting to really indicate the most likely scenario to come out of June is Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco in the top two. We'll have some more polling on that and some interesting polling on El Presidente Donald J. that just came out. Supreme Court ruled parents have the right to know if Johnny is being called Juanita or whatever at school. Hats off to 6 on the Supreme Court. There's 3 complete mental imbeciles on there, but, well, once in a while they show a little intelligence, so trying to be nice. Again, another $1 billion fraud deal coming off in the voter fraud by Cal Doge, but as we had, lead story of the day. Headline in the C Post. Oh, Lordy. Mayor accused of raping drunken 16-year-old at a pool party ordered morning after pill on DoorDash. Oh my, what a tangled web we weave. When it first, well, I guess you could fill in the blank. On the rest of that, let's check out the KPLC story.
The jury's hands. Good afternoon. I'm Morgan Babineau. Roberts is accused of having sex with a teen at a 2024 pool party while she was mayor. And today there was more shocking testimony from the teen at the center of the trial. KPLC's Devin Cruz has been in court all day. Devin, can you break down what's happened so far and what's next?
Yeah, Morgan, you know, we heard a lot today. We heard closing statements, and as you said, it is in the jury's hands. I originally had reported to you guys that they were getting jury instructions from the judge, but no, we actually watched several people walk out. The jury is deliberating right now. It's been a long day, and this case very well may wrap up today, so I'm going to jump into some of what has happened today. Now, the teen in question, the victim, took the stand and described in detail what he said happened the night of the alleged incident. He testified Roberts was really drunk, and he'd also been drinking heavily. The victim said while outside, he and Roberts flirted with each other, and eventually they kissed by the pool. At which point, he says Roberts said they shouldn't continue kissing outside. The victim said he asked Roberts if they could go upstairs, and she agreed. He then told jurors they had sex. He testified that afterwards he realized what was happening and realized what was happening. I'm sorry. He claims Roberts
he realized what was happening of that. That's Misty Roberts, the mayor over there in Louisiana. Actually, not too bad for 43. No wonder the 16-year-old said, hey, sweetheart, you want to go have sex? After they were kissing by the pool. The mayor at a pool party at her place, and if that's her pool, holy cow, what is a mayor making podunk whatever Louisiana?
And her son got into a fight and an argument in which she allegedly said, quote, go fight your friend, he's the one who did it. The defense called one witness, an officer in the case, who is in charge of extracting information from the phones that were...
Good, they clarified where he was extracting the information from. Holy cow.
Taken by police. The defense pressed him on why they did not investigate the surveillance app found on Roberts' phone for evidence. We also saw photos from Roberts' backyard months before the alleged crime in 2024 taken from...
Is that her home? I think that's the courthouse, but the pool looked spectacular. Hell, that's probably $150,000, $200,000 pool in California.
That phone. Now, we also got to hear closing arguments today. The state opened there saying, quote, "I told you at the beginning of the trial, a lewd and lascivious photo is worth 1,000 words." Assistant District Attorney Charles Robinson then...
Lewd and lascivious photos? Well, they're worth 1,000 or more words, I'll guarantee you that, and maybe a little bit more action, but here we go.
Rapid-fired evidence at the jury, including a photo of Roberts and the victim that is the centerpiece for the trial. He pointed to testimony from several witnesses that say that they caught the two in the act. The defense also got the chance to close.
Oh, it was a peep show from the mayor? Man, well, they went upstairs. I don't know. Did this thing really happen upstairs, or did it happen at poolside where everybody was seeing it? I don't know if we'll ever know the complete truth.
Highlighting the lack of consistencies between testimony of witnesses, defense attorney Adam Johnson also was animated, and in his arguments, he said that the state failed.
Defense attorney was animated. Guess he was looking at them lewd and lascivious photos or something.
To investigate DNA evidence, surveillance video.
DNA evidence in a sex case?
And follow-up testimony in the case. He also said, quote, "I told you it was a bad look to the jury," but he also said that they were fully clothed. And that was in reference to the photo at the center of the trial. He went on to say that, quote, "She shouldn't have been in that room in the first place," but he added that the state failed to present evidence in the case that would convict his client. Now, we could be called back in at any moment if the jury comes back with a verdict. But right now, as I told you, we had testimony from two separate witnesses, the victim and the
Boy, we're going to have to follow this. I'm curious as hell now how the verdict goes in this case, and we'll bring it to you from D. Ritter, Louisiana. Didn't even know there was such a place. Oh, holy cow. One of the extremely unusual cases. This should have been a no-brainer. Parents should be notified of what's going on with their kids at school or anywhere else. We've had this whole gender bending, whatever, I believe, extreme sexual, mental abuse to kids. From the time they walk into TK, they're being exposed to sexual stuff no kid should be exposed to, much less being able to even process or handle. So in California, now mind you, unless they've changed it, but my understanding is once your kid turns 13, you, the parent, don't even have access to their medical records, because they tell you, if you want copies of their medical records, get them by 12, because when they turn 13, you can't get them. Only they can. And that was all on the abortion thing, because there's a bunch of mean white hillbillies and the whole thing. This is how they sneak this stuff in. Well, the Supreme Court ruled yesterday in a 6-3 decision. They smacked down Rob Bonta and the California legislature and the courts, who ruled, oh yes, the schools could come in there and they don't have to tell you anything about what's going on with your kid. They can refer to Johnny as Juanita. They can have your daughter down there getting her breast chopped off, your son, his Johnson chopped off, hormone blockers, everything else, and you can't know a darn thing. Well, the Thomas More Society sued on behalf of some parents. Attorney General Rob Bonnet and the Supreme Court said yes in a 6-3 decision. They said this madness is going to stop. Sonia Shaw, the great school board president from Chino Valley, has been one of the lead champions for parental rights and parental notification, and no boys and girls sports and locker rooms on top of that. The absurdity that we're even discussing this, or it's even a question, and 3 Supreme Court justices, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Ketanji Jackson, 3 women, said, no, that's okay, you know, schools can do what they want. They want control of your kids. It's absolutely ridiculous. But at least there's 6 justices on the Supreme Court that at least got a lick of sense between the 6 of them. We'll delve into the election, the fraud, the vagrants, Gulag, Gavin Newsom with his new eye roll. And when he does that, when he does this, oh, holy crap. Grab onto your ankles because you know what's coming next. 1,000%. We'll deal with Newsom here in a minute with his latest scam, fraud that's going to be perpetrated on us from the vagrant, ridiculous, idiotic, stupid theft of our money. And, you know, it's not doing those people any good. But they don't give a crap. As long as we're making the cassiola, people can burn as far as they can. It's stunning. Some of what we see. But we've talked about what I come up with a year ago. I said, you know, if you get 2 Republicans, you split the vote evenly. And then you have a whole bunch of Democrats run. It's possible you could get 2 Republican candidates, 2 center-right freedom and liberty type candidates in the top 2. Everybody said I was nuts when I said this over a year ago. Oh, never happened. Can't happen, not in California. Da, da, da. Is becoming more of a reality. Evan McLaughlin posted this. Republican candidate for California Governor John Slavitt, which nobody has heard of, dropped out, which nobody cares, except maybe John Slavitt and his dog or cat. According to Politico, I just unchecked his name from Paul Mitchell's top 2 twin site, and the R race, which means Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco, probability in the general election jumps to 26%. So right now the Paul Mitchell started out at 12, then jumped to 17, and now is at 26%. Mind you, when he was at 12, I was saying there was a 1 in 3 chance by my numbers. It's a 50-50 and going and probably crossing over that. Depending if any more candidates drop in or sign up, which that's Friday, I think, is the last day, March 6th. So Friday, 5 o'clock, you got to have your paperwork in to run, to be on the ballot, and or to withdraw your name. Maybe Tony Thurmond, with Betty Yee getting second at the Democratic convention. I don't think she's going to drop out. In fact, her poll numbers are starting to go up. From like 1 and 2% to 4 and 5s. Tony Villar, Villaraigosa, I don't think he's going to dump. And we'll explain that in a second. But if you go further and just put in names, just put in Chad Bianco. What is the probability Chad Bianco gets in the top 2 in the Paul Mitchell deal? It comes up 60%. Put in Steve Hilton, and it comes up with that same number, 60%. 2 Republicans are at 60%. Then you put in the spy Swalwell, and it gets to 40. You get to psycho chick Katie Porter, and it gets 20. And then it just goes downhill from there. So even if the probability, and even taking Paul Mitchell's number at 1 and 4, basically, right now as we stand today. But what's most likely the probability of the outcome? It's going to be Steve and Chad, because they're both 60%. They're the only 2 candidates that are above 50% in probability of making it into the top 2. That's why I'm saying, and with the numbers I reran of mine today, I'm like right at 50%. 50% chance. Right now today, March 3rd, that in the June 6th primary, or 5th, whatever it is, Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton are going to emerge as the top 2 candidates and duke it out in November. Now everybody's saying, consolidate. And the chair of the Democratic Party finally came out with a letter saying, with 3 or 4 days to go, so if you're not got a viable path, you got to drop out, blah, 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 blah. Well, first, he doesn't have the gravitas of a Willie Brown or a Big Daddy Jesse Enru or John Burton or even Gavin Newsom or Nancy Pelosi. She's dead meat. Pelosi was one of the best, saying, hey, if you don't get out, I will make sure you won't even get a red cent to run. Your dog will not even donate to your campaign. There's nobody left in the heart of Gavin Newsom doesn't give a crap. So what's their incentive? Nobody's getting over 15%. Whether it's Spy Swalwell or Psycho Chick Porter. They're the only ones even getting in the 10 to 15s, and then Steyer and Villaraigosa and whomever, Mahan, all that, are all like below 10% in the average of all the polls in the last month. So the only ones that are above that are Steve and Chad. So why would Villar go out? What if something happens? He's at 5%. Katie Porter or Swalwell are at 12 or 13. Well, both of them got major problems. I mean, the whole spy thing. Whatever one of Villar's guys on, and he took the tweet down, but he said, hey, there's sex and other scandals coming out with Swalwell like you ain't going to believe. And then we know Katie Porter, get out of my effing shot and the whole thing. She's out, she can blow sky high, in her Trump deal up at the convention, which didn't go over good, which kind of surprised me a bit. Given that you usually have the high partisans and they hate Trump on the Democratic side like nobody's business. But why would Villar get out? I mean, it isn't like somebody's getting 25% and leading. But, you know, you want to make sure or whatever. It's easy to think, you know, circumstances could fly. That Villar, Betty Yee's up to 5%. What incentive they have to get out? Steyer's, he's committed $100 million. He's not dropping. It's ridiculous to think that somebody's going to bow out because of pressure right now. First, there's nobody to do it on the Democratic side. And what incentive do they have? Most of them, Betty Yee, Thurman, all these guys have been raising cash through their offices. Steyer's got who knows how much he's going to pump into this thing. You know, 100 million, 200. He could drop 100, 200 million in it. Matt Maughan's supposed to have all the tech bros. They could easily raise 100 billion real quick. Villar's got his crew. He's been collecting money. He's got that. None of them have an incentive to drop out of this thing. So it's really accelerated too. Even at the first of the year, everybody said, my idea, my plan, my strategy, split the Republican, center-right, freedom, liberty type vote evenly between two candidates, which is like 20%. It might grow depending on circumstance or whatever, and we'll get into that in a sec. But we got a lot to work. And, you know, depending on how this war thing works out with Trump, definitely could happen. Speaking of Donald J., Trump's approval is steady at 46%. Actually, it went up on the Harris-Harvard poll. Not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy. Even the demos are kind of shocking. Blacks are still at 30%. Hispanics 34. Asians 32. The main part Trump has in this thing is women and 18 to 24-year-olds, and maybe a little bit. They're not high-propensity voters, so they're most likely not to be coming out in the midterms or the June primary in California. Trump approval, again, by Zogby, again, a left-wing guy, close to the same, 47.50. Support for the Save America Act, voter ID, which will be on the ballot in November regardless in California for statewide. All Americans 71%, Republicans 91%, Independents 69%, Democrats 50%. Pretty close to the CBS poll. Voter ID is a winner. I don't know why Thune doesn't get that out and vote for it. This is even deeper. And this is what I say. The midterms maybe, they're up in the air. They're not, I mean, you see polling bouncing a lot of ways. But registered voters are only approved 46, 49. I don't know why it's 50 in the other. Well, that's almost mirrors, just 1 point under both on Zogby. But likely voters, 50%, 47 approve of Trump. Majority of likely voters are approving of Donald Trump. CBS, On the generic ballot, Democratic Party 4540. This is a weird one. Better approach to the economic policy. Democrats 34, that's a +7. Trump, the GOP 33, that's unchanged. Neither not sure -7. So the neither not sure moved to the Democratic side. Highly suspect. Better on immigration policy, Trump 36, Democrats 34, they're a +5, Trump's a -3. Who the hell would think Democrats with 30 million in would be better on immigration? That calls into question that. This is another one that was interesting. How strong is the economy today? Strong, 51%, which is a +8. Weak, 49%, which is a -8. So, and that's in the Harvard-Harris poll. So people are feeling more optimistic about their economic situation. When they feel more optimistic about their economic situation, they are more likely to keep the party in power. They are more likely
1 minute, Roy.
to keep how we've been going, not changing the course, which seemed to be the way a lot of people at the polls were working in that. Maybe we're getting some more honest polling as we're getting to the primaries, which I think Texas and some others are having today. They have kind of a weird way of doing it. But we'll have some results tonight. We'll see how that goes.
30 seconds.
We'll be joining the Mighty Met KMT. We'll get into Gavin Newsom's little rendition about the vagrants and other things going on here out in the hinterlands of the Inland Empire. We, the red-headed children out here of that. We will not be ignored.
Here we go.
Support America. PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire. On the aforementioned AM band, join your vast video audience. I think on the FB network, YouTube, we're still working some of those others out on that. But check us out. You'll see us on the social media garb with everybody else, with the 10 million people out there that are already doing it. Not many, though, are left on the old broadcasting system as that we brought you the story. Gotta check this out. Oh my. Mayor accused of raping drunken 16-year-old at a pool party, ordered morning after pill on DoorDash. Man, that story will give you a chuckle, maybe raise a few eyebrows. Oh, we're gonna have to, I guess the trial's at the jury level. Can't wait to hear the verdict on that one. Supreme Court ruled 6-3 of the California case. The Thomas More Society smashed B.S. Rob Bonta, our Attorney General. They said parents are allowed to know if Johnny is being called Juanita at school or what's going on with the whole enchilada, I believe. I believe it will carry on to the, the whole, we're going to chop off Johnny's Johnson or Juanita's breasts and the hormone blockers and all that other stuff. Finally, we got some sanity out of the Supreme Court. At least 6 of them. 3, Sotomayor, Kagan and Ketanji Jackson Brown got their heads in the rear end. They voted against this. At least we got 6. Got some semblance of sanity on the Supreme Court and reversed that order. Kudos to the great Sonia Shaw, president of Chino Valley School Board, for championing this and no boys and girls sports and all that other stuff. The Roy plan is working. Update for you on KMET. New numbers out on the Paul Mitchell model. It's up to 25%. My numbers are 50%. It's gaining steam every day. The most likely outcome now, I'm saying 50% plus. Steve and Chad 1-2 coming out of the June primary. We broke it down on that as long with the new Trump numbers, which are looking awfully good. Surprisingly. But hopefully we'll get to this tomorrow or Thursday. $1 billion. $1 billion which collected on the AB 32 scam. Almost all of it, according to CalDOGE, went to getting out Democratic candidates. Almost $1 billion. Hopefully we'll dig deeper into that Wednesday and or Thursday. But Gavin Newsom's got his new scam out, trotting out the poor vagrants and using them as pawns in a scheme to enrich him and his buddies. Here's the first one up. This is a post by Karen Hanratty, get that right, from KTLA, which is highly unusual. A state audit found that the California invested a staggering $24 billion over the past 5 fiscal years to address homelessness, vagrancy. I don't know why people can't get this right. Yet, as this spending has increased, so has the California homeless vagrant population. Plus, they can't tell you where the money went. Well, we don't know. Oh. This brings us to Gulag Gavin Newsom at his treatment for tents, his latest scam to defraud you of more of your money, increase vagrancy, drug addiction, and stupidity on steroids. Here's the ding-dong.
Did not have a strategy for integrating issues of substance abuse and mental health. Did not have a strategy to integrate housing. Did not have a strategy to support cities and counties as it relates to developing strategies to get people off the streets and sidewalks. Did not focus and prioritize encampments. No strategies, no plans, and little money. It was the creation of a new program that we are highlighting today, the HAP program, but it came with no strings attached, no accountability, no transparency. That's changed dramatically.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't changed a lick. They're going to flush this right down the frickin' toilet like they have over $100 billion. And this clown, 22 years ago, put Prop 63 on the Tax the Rich White Boys Act, said he was going to wipe this out in 5 years by 2009. No vagrancy, no mental illness people on the street. We'd have them housed on it. Here he's went from mayor of San Francisco to lieutenant governor in 8 years. Well, 6 years of that, 8 years of lieutenant governor, almost 8 years of governor. $100 billion, and the problem, as they said, KTLA 5 says is worse. Exponentially worse. We got half the frickin' vagrant population. We're only 12% of the United States population. 4 times more. And this ignorant fool, well, he's playing us for ignorant fools.
And it's changed because we needed to change. In 1959, there were 37,000 locked beds in the state of California, and a population that's half the size of the population today. 37,000 beds in a population that's half the size today. When we initiated an effort to try to knit back investments, we highlighted that roughly 5,500 units exist today. Population that's double the size. 37,000 down to 5,500. It's the origin.
Again, $30 billion has been collected. In the Just the Tax the Rich White Boys Act from 22 years ago. And you said you were going to fix this by 2009, 17 years ago. You wouldn't see it. On top of that, you spent about another $70 billion as lieutenant governor and governor on this issue. And we only got 5,500 beds versus 37,000 back when Jerry's dad and Ronald Reagan were governor.
Story here in the state of California. Yes, it began in the early 60s, accelerated in the late 60s, promoted with no support, but this notion promoting local community-based care, but no real support from the state. And of course, it was accelerated federally, infamously during the 1980s. One component part of that that's interesting, it was a bipartisan endeavor in its origin story. And so while it's easy to cast aspersion and point.
When you see this, that's another one. Holy crap. The tongue underneath the bottom lip, the new eye roll, or the
fingers. It was both Democrats and the Republicans.
Oh, we know where you got your finger. Right up our rear end, you.
That wanted to move in a different direction. But ultimately, we fell short. No state has been more impacted than the state of California. For one reason, the original sin is not just the lack.
Because you invited them in. You said, oh, come on in. We'll give you all this. We'll give you housing. We'll give you, give. This is why they're here, you maroon.
And our partners, not sparring partners, working partners at the city and county level that recognize we need to do things better and do things differently. We created a new website, accountability.ca.gov.
So according to Steve Hilton and CalDoge, of these latest programs that they've come up with in accountability, 22 people. 22 people have been helped or housed or been in treatment of this. They did it, the study with Prop 36. At best, 15% of the people chose treatment. The other 85%, you either got to put them in jail or turn them back out in the streets. And you've been closing prisons right and left. This stuff, it's flat beyond surreal.
Supported it, you made it happen, is what we're focused on here today. And what we've been focused on over the course of the last number of years. And that's why numerically, we're calling people out.
You're calling people out. Numerically, yeah, numerically they're here because of your stupid policies, a-hole. You created it. And now you're profiting off of people's suffering. These are sick, sadistic human beings.
Santa Clara County. You know, I've been critical of some of my friends down there and been talking to the mayor's office and members of the Board of Supervisors in my old hometown, San Francisco.
So he's throwing Matt Mahan under the bus, who's in Santa Clara County. San Jose is basically Santa Clara County. Matt Mahan, who's supposed to have been, I've made great strides in the vagrancy and all this. San Francisco and all that. Made great strides. And Alameda, Oakland, for crying out loud. They're touting as their model of success. The town that lost the only In-N-Out burger because it was too dangerous. Kaiser down the street told their employees, do not go out for lunch. You're lucky if you're mugged and robbed and pistol whipped. Most likely you're going to be shot. This stuff is and the hubris again of this guy is something else.
That's why we're here, to support the effort, to support the cause, to get people off the streets and sidewalks, out of encampments as a top priority.
So we can extract more of your money to turn them back to the streets and the sidewalks, because we don't have jail cells to put them in, because that's what you're going to have to put about 80 to 90% of them in. You can't force them into treatment. The 10 or 15% you may be able to save is only works with a jail cell, buddy boy, that you've been closing right and left. This is the crying out loud shame of what's going on.
9% for the first time in over 15 years. We're making progress now. We're moving in the right direction. It's starting to work.
$100 billion down the toilet. We've got more vagrancy, no medical facilities. Just the off the charts compared to would be is not even that. You even said it. Oh, but we're going to point a gun at you, take more money out of your wallet so we can keep living high on the hog. And they are doing it ridiculously.
Become real. And that's what people demand. That's what they want. That's what I demand. That's what I want. I'm a taxpayer first. And a frustrated one at times when it comes to this topic. And no one's been a bigger critic of this than I have. And that means I'm held to a higher level of accountability than anybody. I get that. And you know what?
Yeah, that's just words. First, you never earned an honest dollar in your entire frickin' life. And if you had any sort of conscience, if accountability made anything, you would have never run a lieutenant governor. You should have resigned the mayor in 2009, because your promise of fixing all this stuff, beds, medical beds, facilities, housing, everything was going to be fixed by 2009 with Prop 63. Yet you continue the grift, the con. And it's absolutely 1,000% unflippin' believable. But we're living it.
$1 billion to integrate that housing on an annual basis with $6.38 billion of capital. Come on.
They're going to go on the housing first model. And it's absolutely proven to be failure. At least the city of Riverside recognized it. At least 4 of the council members did.
The cities and counties under Prop 1 this July will now have $1 billion redirected ongoing money. You all say you need ongoing money. So that we can make long-term commitments. You're going to get it.
You're going to get it. Oh yeah, we're going to get it. That's why we're grabbing our ankles after we Vaselined up you know what. Because we know what's coming next.
Those family members.
Those family members. Huh. Boy, the histrionics this guy's... Maybe he's getting acting lessons or something from Weinstein in jail or something. Maybe Jenny Poo's pulled some conjugal visits over at the jail cell or something to get him trained up. I mean, the bad acting this clown is going through, on top of the stupid, ridiculous policies. This is even more imperative that the Roy plan gets put into fruition. Not only for the governor's race, and it'll help us out on the down ballot races coming in November and all that, switching around local community races, school boards, city councils, board of supervisors, the legislature. If this isn't motivation enough, I don't know what is. Do you really want to toy with the idea of being a Venezuela or Iran? Because that's where we're headed to. If we don't grab this bull by the horns and stop this stuff, going to $5 a gallon of gas, trying to blame Trump, when it's his policies that have the oil refineries refined. On top of that, the AB 32, they stole $1 billion, I believe, the allegation, to keep electing themselves, to keep doing this to us, to convince us to elect them to screw us over.
Until there was an outcry. It's not my assertion, it's just a simple fact. Trump administration could care less about this. Doing not a damn thing on affordability. Quite the contrary. Look at your cost at the pump the last few days.
He's trying to blame Trump. Before the Iran-Iraq war started on Saturday, in a month, gas had went down nationally a dime. It went up 50 cents in California from your policies, fool. Yeah, it's probably going to go up 10, 15 cents a gallon for a month as the bombing attack goes on over there in Iran, but that'll come back down. Actually, it'll probably go cheaper because we'll have more control probably over the Strait of Hormuz and all that. Hopefully we'll tell the Chi-coms to go pound sand. This one was rich from one of the subordinates. Here we go.
As of January of 2025. But what we would say is that when we look at the universe of those who could be supported by this effort, and the petition rate is demonstrating one way to see success. CARE is not a tool for everyone. There's a voluntary
this is a tool for success. Well, CARE is not for everyone. Yeah, you already know the statistics. We're going to have to put 80% plus of these vagrants in jail. Missy, Gabby. You better start opening. Get Chuckawalla back open down in Blythe and all the others you've closed. And tell the vagrants that are pooping in the street and whatever. You got two choices. Because we got plenty of bed space. We got enough to accommodate the ones that are going to take the treatment. The 10 or 15%. The others, okay, guess where you're going? To the old Gray Bar Motel. These cats know they're lying. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . through their teeth like nobody's ever done before. Possibly, probably, almost certainly. And they really do. And because they've gotten away with it so long, they think we are that stupid and ignorant. We're going to find out here in June. No matter what. And I don't care if Steve goes down in the polls and Chad comes up, we need to even that out. It's a strategy to win. We got to split that vote evenly. And hopefully it's 10 dwarves. I thought it was going to be down to 7. I don't even know if any of them are going to drop out now. I mean, we're going to know this on Friday, 5 o'clock. We're going to know because that's it. If you haven't dropped out by the time the offices close at the Secretary of State's office, you're in. Your name's going to be on the ballot if you've already qualified, which I think all of them have submitted their paperwork. We're seeing victory. We're seeing the path to victory. Do not snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. Quit infighting Republican, center-right, freedom and liberty types. Practice the Ronald Reagan 11th commandment, thou shalt not criticize another Republican. And if you're a Steve or Chad supporter, the only person they can beat is Steve or Chad. And I've said, I'm fine with either one of them. I'm cool. And if they get in, if it's Steve and Chad, hey, let the best men with you. Katie, bar the door. I mean, Denise can send her emails. But please refrain from that now, Denise. Chad and Steve, don't criticize everyone. Each other. Go after the Democrats. The price of fuel, the vagrancy, the $100 billion, $1 billion they've siphoned off. We're all going to die of diesel smoke, and they're out there. That's how all these fancy leaflets and ballot harvesting and all that gets paid, and the phone banking and all that, that's how it gets paid for, by your dollars. They've been taking your money and plotting your demise. Are we going to be sharp enough in 26? Say, you know what? Guess what we have in store for you? We've gotten a little sharper. We're not going to do the same thing over and over again and hope for a different result, which is what Newsom and the crew are trying to tell us on the vagrancy thing. Well, we just ain't spent enough money, or we ain't spent it right. Same thing with the bullet train and everything else. It's going to be an interesting 3 months here, especially in the once Golden State. I hope this gives people the motivation. The side that's motivated in an election is the one that usually wins. Trump in 24, Biden in 20, if you want to take the presidential, Trump in 16, Obama. Go back and look. The enthusiasm rate, don't discount that. The one who has the momentum, the enthusiasm behind them, and the motivated electorate on their side is the one that's going to win them, right? Is one that's going to win the race. And I think they don't have that. None of their candidates in the governor's race are attracting any kind of traction. Steve and Chad are. I got to go to the Moreno Valley City Council. Well, I don't have to. I will be going to the Moreno Valley City Council meeting. We'll see what goes on with the mall closing. See if they're going to open the mall without them paying the almost $500,000 they owe us for providing police protection, on top of all the other stuff. I may even dig out later this week. We'll see how it goes. What I said about this, when they brought the phony project to the entertainment center, and we invested what, $5-10 million down a rat hole, and they'll probably do it again. Who knows? That'll do it for today. As we usually say this time, mandatory, you're back here in 23 hours. Why? You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The proceeding was a...
All right, take it easy, Roy. You going to the meeting tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, have fun.
I will.
Bye now.